What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bushwhacking History in Buffalo with Berserker Bear. So this is going to be a quick intro to kind of a real big overview of what I think's going on here in Buffalo as far as being an ancient city. So what this will serve as a, just like I said, a quick intro. I got a little bit of notes going on here. Gonna lay some context here as far as giving stats for the Niagara River, because I actually glanced over it in the presentation that you're going to be seeing. So I run the gambit of going through anomalous stuff from the Erie Basin Marina all the way up to the Ontario Power Company generating station, and what was going on in the falls back in the day, what was going on with the Niagara River back in the day, and how it connects. Not only does it connect obviously geographically, but what's going on with things that I see that are anomalous here in this region. Not only with the land, not only with Erie Canal, although that is incorporated, what's going on with Buffalo's history, the history of the water. So that said, stay tuned for an upcoming episode that I'm going to have another track back to the Culvert Road with Rad Bear. Okay, and the acoustics that's going on there. A couple videos back I dropped a real quick clip of how it sounds inside this tunnel. It's amazing. So this is just a preview for Pittsford, New York. And boy, was it ever Middle Earth. Right behind a parking lot and Wegmans. You got stuff that looks like this. So this is just a quick preview of an episode that I'm going to be dropping in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that. Also Holly, we're getting out there. There goes Rad Bear, OG. Beautiful place. Holly Falls right there, ladies and gents. There goes your boy. And that is a preview. So let's get into stats of Niagara River, and you'll understand this a little bit more when I lay down more context during the actual episode itself. So I've always said, and I actually put out a video quite a while ago in my early days on my YouTube channel about Niagara River and how it's in a class of its own. Now we can deduce that really quick right from here, and I'm going to do that for you. Being that it's under 36 miles in length and it has over 200 average discharge cubic flow rate, which is CFS. Let's see, cubic flow per second, or flow rate. You can also call it stream flow. The Niagara River is in a class of its own. So it's even under 40 miles in length, and it has a cubic flow rate of over 200,000. The next closest is the Atchafalaya River, and that's at 137 miles in length. So all I want to do here is underline and preface and highlight the fact that Niagara should be deemed a class of its own, because not only are the rapids above and below the falls unbelievably amazing, and if you ever come through our neck of the woods, you got to check out the falls. You got to check out the falls. You must check out the falls. But yeah, 204,700 cubic flow is unbelievable under 40 miles. So I thought I'd mention that. Also, right quick before we get into it, if you come over to another idea that I have, and you'll hear this in the episode about what I think is going on with the Erie Basin Marina. Now, if you scroll down on my YouTube community tab post, you'll see this one from a couple months back. Now, this is Main Street, okay? And for some quick context, I got these pictures. As you can see here, this is Buffalo in 1853 as viewed from the island. These are pictures that you can get off of line quite easily. Erie Basin Marina is over here. But right now I'm focused on Main Street. Fast forward a little bit in time to 1888. And you know, notice what you see, how it's like a dock. And there's water here, obviously. And it's like, where does it stop? That's where I think the roads were possibly canals here in Buffalo. I've said that before in numerous episodes, and that's kind of the work that I do here. And I wanted to depict that in this post. What if water went through here? And not only was there possibly a star fort at the Erie Basin Marina, was Main Street also a canal? Something to think about. And again, I'm going to lay some more context during the episode, so stay tuned. And here goes the kicker. We're going to be pulling from this book during the episode as well. Echoes in the Mist, an illustrated history of the falls. Here goes the Buffalo Harbor right here. In chapter 2, City by the Falls, page 32, you have a picture of the Buffalo Harbor, which is now the Erie Basin Marina. Port of Buffalo, burgeoned with the opening of the Erie Canal, boom, boom. Buffalo was the western terminal of the canal. I mentioned that in the episode, which provided an inland waterway from New York to City, from New York City to Lake Erie and to the Midwest by way of the Great Lakes, courtesy of Carl J. Burke Studio, that picture. Now, what I detail here is going to be all listed in the description of this video. And this is just to give some visual context of what I think is possibly going on here. Why are the buildings shaped like a star? And were they covering up something like I think they were in this pic? So just a visual representation of, could it be? You'll get further context during the episode. Is that a portion, a bastion of a star fort jutting out, and is it being hidden under the guise of industry? All that hoopla going on with the Rust Belt. And that is the actual number 1 plot of Buffalo, parcel number 1, Harbor Line. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is Bushwhacking History. You're watching another episode, Bushwhacking Buffalo, actually. I think it's number 48. So keep it sleuthing. God bless. And as always, I'll report back. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bushwhacking History in Buffalo with Berserker Bear. So what's going on today? A little bit of local fare, if you will. We're going to read a article and get some information from it, fireengineering.com, about the water system of Buffalo. We're going to track that to the Jubilee Springs in Forest Lawn Cemetery. Been there before. Going to tie that in with an older Bushwhacking Buffalo number 9. Some old books from archive.org citing Niagara River. A couple books. Another article regarding the Niagara River and the detail of what was going on in this part of the river. Excuse me. Right where the Peace Bridge crosses. And I got some detail on that. I've been doing nothing but looking into this pretty extensively as of late. So I'm just going to share what I got so far. A little excerpt here on Thompson Hole. I've been on this river many times fishing, skiing, tubing. We'll learn what a bascule bridge is and how it relates to the International Bridge, which is also over the river. Got my Google Earth up for orientation. We're in this neck of the woods. Again, this is Buffalo. Zoom on down to the Peace Bridge. So we're going to, effectively what this is going to be is anomalies and riddles in the water from what I think is, or what I hypothesize is going on from the Erie Basin Marina and that henge that we have in there that I've showcased before. Okay, this is what I think may have been an old star fort. Buried star fort, in my opinion. We're also going to use some old maps for reference. So this is kind of a throwback episode, y'all. Hope you like it. We got 1902 going on here. Pretty sure. Pardon me. What we're going to focus on is, again, how this looks like a star shape. Okay. What I think is going on is they were hiding an old Cohorn style star fort bastion here. Also, we're going to track back over here, follow the Erie Canal. Again, Buffalo is the terminus of the western leg of the Erie Canal. We're also going to focus on this very anomalous part of the realm by the Peace Bridge and the International Bridge. Squaw Island and the intake crib. Now this is 1902, keep in mind, we just showed that. This little thing right here. Okay, so that's why I have these old maps up. This one is 1888 Buffalo, and same part of the river. Now this, in this one, 1888, you had the International Bridge up, but not the Peace Bridge. Where the Peace Bridge would be is right where this little bridge over the canal would be. So we're going to incorporate this, and we'll also get to the Niagara Falls and what's going on in the mist here. So again, welcome back to another episode. We're going to read some articles, check out some Library of Congress 4K maps that you just seen me go through. And again, it's going to track us back to, from the head of the Niagara River to just below the falls. My last video showcased what was going on at the Sholkopf, but as with any good anomaly, there's layers to it. Now, just across the way from the Sholkopf power plant is this thing in the falls, the Ontario Power Company. And it's just funny that when I try to find pictures of it from back in the day, or where it would be situated, well, we got possibly historical fuzzing, because I suspect maybe that building was here as well. And just in line with the previous point of peripety detailed, maybe this building was once covered, because I can tell you from firsthand view, it does look ancient. And I cursory search, cannot find, although a cursory search for the past 2 years, 2.5 years, so take that as you will. Haven't found any construction pictures of it. So, let's read. All right, so the water system of Buffalo. There is a striking contrast between the original water supply system of the city of Buffalo, New York, and that of today. The growth in population and prosperity of the city being substantially typified in the development of the plant. The waterworks date from the incorporation in 1827 of the Buffalo and Black Rock Jubilee Waterworks Company. Now, this is the Jubilee Springs that I've been to before. Well, I mean, I live 5 minutes away from it, but I took this picture there when I was with Robbie Radbear for my episode on Forest Lawn, because there are pipes connecting this with Niagara Street. But I digress, and we'll get into that. So, the waterworks date from the incorporation 1827 of the Buffalo and Black Rock Jubilee Waterworks Company, which had a capital of 20K, and up to 1832 had laid about 16 miles of wooden water-cut conduits. The source of supply at the time was the Jubilee Springs. Now, this is what's cool, and I can do back and forth here between my own personal research that I've got about the Jubilee Springs. Now, this is on Niagara Street, and this is the Jubilee Springs they're talking about, the building. Again, I did that and showcased it in Bushwhacking number 9. That's the building, the library. And I will be getting pictures eventually coming out for you of what's going on inside of there. It just so happens that my brother does real estate in Buffalo. Shout out Turbo. Love you, brother. That's my older brother, but I'm the bigger brother. Love you, Turbo. But I'll be getting pictures from inside of this place for you. So stay tuned. Pretty interesting stuff going on inside of there. So yeah, that's Jubilee Springs for you. Okay. Little background on that. The Jubilee Waterworks was one of Buffalo's first water systems. When built in 1830, it replaced the village's water john. Kucherer, who for years had gone about the streets on a horse-drawn cart, selling water from Lake Erie to homes without wells in their backyards. When Jubilee came into the picture, Water John bowed to progress and retired. And you can pause and check that out at your convenience. Just thought it was pretty cool. What's interesting is the wooden pipes that, again, were laid from that Jubilee Springs in Forest Lawn Cemetery way back in the day, all the way into the heart of, well, what is the old heart of Buffalo, Niagara Street by the foot of Ferry. And this is the spring house of the Jubilee Waterworks, right near that spring that you just seen in Forest Lawn Cemetery, because I can say that right now. Delaware and Auburn Avenues, Delaware and Auburn, the confluence of those two streets is right at that Jubilee Springs in Forest Lawn Cemetery. And you can track that back and do it on your Google Earth at your leisure, because I don't want to get sidetracked here off into a tangent. So we're staying busy. But these are just some old pictures of Jubilee that you can get online. But I can get there. Very cool. So this was, oh, there go the wooden pipes. I mean, if you buy that, I'm sure they did run water through there. And I think, and I suspect something else is going on. Just interesting background for you. If nothing else, we're learning together, huh? All right, so that's the Jubilee Waterworks. 16 miles of wooden water conduits. Very interesting. A source of the supply at the time was the Jubilee Spring. So that spring in Forest Lawn Cemetery is a underwater aquifer, or it's tapping into something. And again, I've done that previously and showcased it with my episode with Rad Bear, Forest Lawn. Situated near Delaware Avenue, about 100 rods north of Ferry Street, in what is now the busiest part of the city. The springs were on high ground and the water flowed by gravity through the pipes. As late as 1868, the average daily consumption of the city, which at the time had a population of 100,000, was only 4 million gallons, or 40 gallons per capita. Compare, moreover, the value of the plant of Buffalo City Waterworks Company when it was organized with the capital of 200,000 in 1849, or even its appraised value of 705,000. When the plant was purchased by the city in 1808, with the present value of the assets, which last report places at 11 million. Yada, yada, yada. It was in now this is where the gravy comes into play, because we're going to start talking about what's going on in the anomalous second water intake here. Guys, I've done it before. And, I have a really hard time questioning, as far as what we're told, how they sank this bad boy, this mammy jammy in the middle of this river. Because we're going to go over some statistics of this river and how unbelievably fast it is right here. I've done it before. It's worth noting again. And if nothing else, obviously it's a question that I have, because it's a very good question. Anyways, okay, it was in 1850 when the quantity of water obtained from the springs was found to be inadequate, that pumping from the Niagara River was suggested. The construction of intake tunnel, pumping station, and reservoir followed, and in December of 1851, Pumping from the river was commenced. Now, that's a whitewashing right there, because they say it's in 1850 they recognized the quantity was inadequate. And by 1851, pumping from the river was commenced. Now, when they say pumping from the river, we can, I believe, think that they're, or assume they're talking about pumping from this station. This is the second water station, as we realized, well, effectively third, because the Water John was number 1, right? Then you got the Jubilee Springs, and then this bad boy was effectively the second mechanized form of water production for the city of Buffalo, okay? Keep it in mind. All right, whitewashing in a year. Anyway, let's get more into it because it gets a little bit more thick here. Gravy thickens up. Pumping from river was commenced. At first, the water was taken from the margin of the river, the inlet being on the Bird Island Pier, and a tunnel about 4 feet in diameter and 350 feet long, running under Black Rock Harbor and the Erie Canal, connecting the river with the wells under the pumps. Now let's look at some really cool stuff here, guys. What that's saying is that in that time period, 1850, there is a tunnel, and I've seen running from this thing to the Massachusetts Avenue, as it's named right now, pumping station. And we can presume there's a reservoir underneath there. So this is all being done allegedly in that time frame. Now, again, I'm not standing up and saying, oh, it's no way impossible, but it does seem extremely out there that they were tunneling. The tunnel is through the bedrock. Now, this right here is the Erie Canal. Let's back that up. Remember, we're looking at this part of the river right here, okay? This is 1902. There's tunnels here under the bedrock. I mean, just fascinating. Also, there's an old tunnel from Massachusetts Ave here, bottom left, up to the Ward Francis processing plant, top right over here. That's defunct. Is this all part of a massive old waterworks system that, you know, maybe was found or wasn't working? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out here. There seems to be something going on with water intake and the current of Niagara River being as it is, so powerful right here. Not only was it used as a headwater to inlet for the Niagara or the Erie Canal, what if there were canals? Or let's show a picture here. In order for me to detail, I got to go back and forth, and you know that's what you get with hip fire. Waterworks. Here we go. Erie Basin, Marina. Now, were certain things like this happening? This is Buffalo Harbor right here, and I think this is an old star fort that was buried back in the day. If this is a Cohorn style star fort, that delineates that there's a water connection. Okay. This is Buffalo Harbor. Let's see the excerpt. One harbor line. That's the original plot number 1 of Buffalo. Why does it have this point sticking out right here? Okay. I'm just trying to layer some evidence here. All right. Why is that henge there? Well, Buffalo is the only northeastern city of the Rust Belt of New York City, Philadelphia, Detroit, Boston. Sorry, y'all, but we're the only city that has a sunset over the water because we have 200 miles of Lake Erie to our southwest. And it's a true, genuine sunset over water because of that. And again, no other city has that but us in the Northeast. Very important. So I think this is an ancient city that may have been buried, in my opinion, probably not from a mud flood, but maybe more so a purposeful bury job and then overgrowth. Not to say that there might have been an event or two, like I guess, you know, the New Madrid earthquake shook this whole, well, the New Madrid line south, but it made the Mississippi go backwards, so maybe it had some kind of effect over here. That remains to be seen, and I'm not really going to say anything more about that New Madrid, or as if that's the case, maybe this area over here, maybe it did liquefy the ground a little bit. I don't know, I have more work to do, but effectively that doesn't necessarily relate to what I'm doing here, trying to find ancient infrastructure of stuff that was here 1000 BC. Like again, I'll cite Barry Fell. So let's get back to Barry Fell, and a book to look into is America BC. We're Phoenicians here 1000 BC. We're Basques here 1000 BC. I propose, and I have a hypothesis, that the Erie Canal may have been used by Vikings as a portage around the falls to get into the interior for fur pelts to trade back with the Byzantine East. That's one of my major hypotheses here. But anyway, yeah, if there was also an old star fort here in the Erie Basin Marina, maybe that henge delineates it. And I think that there were water inlets that went in the radial patterns. Some of them may have been canals connecting other nodules, like, for example, Batavia. And we know about that through my history before on the history of Buffalo. Okay, let's get into it. Yeah, is this an ancient part of the old world that was, I hate to say taken over, maybe found? Was there a buried star fort, Cohorn style star fort here in the Erie Basin Marina? And what's going on? How did they lay this in the middle of the river in 1850, as we're learning about now? So here we are, 1851, pumping from the river was commenced. At first, the water was taken from the margin of the river, the inlet being the Bird Island Pier. We just learned about that. And oh yes, let me show you some interesting pictures. Now I think, so here go the ice elevators. They had to have the pier in the middle of the river that I just cited as an anomaly. They had to have two people on that thing before the ice boom was installed to take ice and keep it out of the river. I did a video on that. Just look at bushwhacking history, ice boom. Ice would come down the river and it would clog up this crib with ice. So it had to be manned by two people running a boiler effectively, and they would use hot water, boiling water, to melt the ice. Very crazy, very interesting. And this is that portion of the Massachusetts Ave pumping station, like right here on the edge. That would have been like right here. Ice elevators. Why they don't show that here, I don't know. Maybe they weren't there at the time, but they should have been. If this crib was here in 1902, these ice elevators should be visible on this portion of the river. Where are we at? Let's go back to Google Earth. Right alongside here. That's where those ice elevators are. Let's get some more. Here goes that tunnel that I cited from the old world defunct waterworks tunnel that goes again from Massachusetts Ave pumping station to the Colonel Ward pumping station. And you can see that. It says tunnels to Massachusetts Ave pumping station. I've detailed this before. And right where that thing comes up to the surface, or right where the junction is that little square right there. See that? Shaft? Boom. You want to talk about some sideways research here, guys? I go nuts sometimes going back and forth, but it's such gravy that I feel like I'm obligated to share it with y'all. So again, I appreciate it, and sorry for the slow-moving nature of this. it is what it is. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so let's get back to it. 1851, pumping commenced. That little inlet, those tunnels that connect the middle of the river to the Massachusetts Ave pumping station, 4 feet in diameter, 350 feet long, running under Black Rock Harbor, Erie Canal. Oh, let's do something interesting. This is what I love. Just a roundabout. Let's do it in feet. Oh, man, really? 0.2 miles? How many feet? I'm not good at mental math, y'all. Spare me the ridicule. 1,056 feet. Interesting. Should be shorter, I guess. It says 350 feet long. .2 mile. What is it? 0.02 mile? That doesn't make sense. It just looks to me like they be a little longer. But I know for sure there is tunnels from this inlet right here. There has to be for the water to get here. Maybe there is a typo on this. Maybe they mean to say a little bit. Okay, 4 feet, 350 feet long, running under Black Rock Harbor. And maybe the well extends out a little bit further. That'd be interesting. Like if the well that it's referring to in there actually extends out more, so like it would be going like this, start anew. Maybe it only goes to like here. Maybe the well is bigger underneath here. Who knows? Speculation and conjecture, although we're deriving it from literature, so it's just tough across time to apply this stuff. But I hope it's interesting for you. All right, so running under Black Rock. So there is tunnels running under the Black Rock Harbor and the Erie Canal, connecting those two stations. Anyway, first pumps were a double Cornish bull engine, yada yada. Okay, then it gets into capacity and some numerology, huh? Where's RV Truth? Shout out, homie. Always like your work, man. I wish you were on YouTube a little bit more, but I get the whole censorship stuff. Got to do what you got to do. Anyway, all right, let's close that one up. And here goes Jubilee. My boots on the ground from a while back with Robbie. I'll have all the pertinent links here for you in the description below. But yeah, what a beautiful part of another beautiful nook and cranny of Buffalo. And this is in Forest Lawn Cemetery. And that's the Jubilee Spring. The initial mechanized water intake or water supply of the city of Buffalo. After the water, John. And that's a Frank Lloyd Wright piece right there. Very Promethean looking, if you ask me. But I digress. Okay, so let's check this out. Oh, pardon me. Sorry about that. Okay, that's all I wanted to show for there. Also, check out Bushwhacking number 9, Gothic City Collectors Cove and the Jubilee Center. I will be in this building soon enough for you. Hopefully there's not a... Oh, it's look different. There's a characteristic that I think is indicative of the changeover in the refacading of it. Oh boy, I'm going to say everything's Tartaria and Mudflood. That's in jest for sure. But I do have an arc of, everything was once Tartaria. Heck, my show was called Bushwhacking Tartaria. And I think it's important that I leave these videos out because I guess you can say it's a 180, but we find new information and move forward. So yeah, definitely check that out. And you'll see when I introduce myself in the beginning, it's like, welcome to Bushwhacking Tartaria. So yeah, it is what it is. And everybody who does this research, everybody, I respect all y'all, and we move forward amicably. even though we have difference of opinion. Okay, we find new information and we move forward amicably. I appreciate all of y'all. It's all love, and this work should be nothing but trying to, we don't have to prove negatives. All we got to do is poke holes in the mainstream academia of things. Get around that bottleneck. Okay, let's get into a little bit of gravy about the Niagara River. I'll have this link in the description, archive.org, a main source, or one of the main sources that I use for my research. Old school books that I don't have available to myself. And I do have a lot of those. Anyway, okay, it's been said that Niagara has 1,000 moods, and certain it is that its face is ever changing, though ever beautiful, whether one look on it through rainbow mists or in the gloom of night. There is, in some ways, no spectacle in the world so impressive. Many scenes display the beauty of the wonder of nature, none so well as their elemental force and magnificence. The Lake Erie level is 564 feet above the sea level, and its tortuous course of about 36 miles to Lake Ontario, the Niagara River descends 333 feet, leaving the level of Ontario still 233 feet above the sea. More than half of all fresh water on the entire globe, the whole enormous volume from the vast lake region of North America, draining a territory equaling the entire continent of Europe, pours through this contracted channel out of Lake Erie. There is a swift current for several miles, but farther on the speed is gentler as the channel broadens and Grand Island divides it. Then it reunites into a wider stream flowing sluggishly westward with small islands dotting the surface. About 15 miles from Lake Erie, the river narrows and the rapids begin. They flow with great speed for a mile above the falls, in this distance descending 52 feet. The Goat Island divides their channel at the brink of the cataract, where the river makes a bend from the west back to the north. This island separates the waters, although 9/10 go over the Canadian Falls, which the abrupt bend curves into a horseshoe form. This fall is about 150 feet high, and the height of the smaller fall on the American side is 165 feet. The two cataracts spread out to 4,750 feet breadth, though the steep wooden bank, the Goat Island, which separates them, occupies about 1/4 of the distance, but the river just below the cataract contracts to about 1,000 feet, and so on and so forth. That's kind of a broad view of going down the river from the head of it up at Buffalo all the way down the falls. And then you still got the lower Niagara Gorge to negotiate, which is crazy rapids, and you got the whirlpool on out to Lake Ontario, Old Lake Frontenac. So let's close that and read this one. All right, the city of Buffalo, the lakes. The most striking part here, bottom right, the most striking peculiarity of this part of North America is its immense lakes, which, in respect to depth and extent of surface, have no equals on the face of the earth. Lake Superior is the largest of these inland seas and, without exception, the most extensive body of fresh water in the world, being about 1,500 miles in circumference. In shape, it is an irregular crescent, and its length is nearly 400 miles. Its surface is elevated 625 feet above the level of the sea, and its mean depth is 900 feet. More than 220 rivers and streams pour into their waters from the surrounding mountains. Lake Huron, the second in magnitude of the great chain of lakes, receives the surplus waters of Lake Superior by St. Mary's Channel. And its circumference is supposed to be nearly 1,000 miles, and the depth is estimated at from 900 to 1,000 feet. Near its northwest point, a narrow strait connects it with Lake Michigan, which is entirely included in the United States, by Lake St. Clair and the Detroit River. Lake Huron communicates with Lake Erie, whose circumference is about 600 miles. This, in a commercial point of view, ranks as the most important of the whole chain of lakes. possessing the most extensive channels of inland communication in the world. By means of the Erie Canal, it connects with the Hudson River and the Atlantic Ocean, and by the Ohio Canal with the Ohio and Mississippi rivers and the Gulf of Mexico. The Welland Canal also, on the Canadian side, forms a ship channel for vessels to pass through to Lake Ontario, and thence by the river St. Lawrence to the ocean. Canada. Important because Canada is obviously right across the way. Now, again, if you're not beginning to picture how important this area is as I'm reading this, not only is it important for us in industry, but even for the natives, and even for possibly the peoples that were here before, whether that was Vikings, heck, whether it was Basques or Phoenicians. Again, I'll cite Barry Fell, as I do a lot, but okay, let's keep going. This province derives its name from the Iroquois word Kanata, which signifies a village or collection of huts. It extends from Gaspé in the east to Sandwich at the end of the Lake Erie in the west. Interesting. On the west, its shores are washed by Lake Huron, on the southeast by Lake Erie and Ontario, and by the St. Lawrence as far as the boundary of the 45th parallel of latitude. From thence, the river, or the Great River, St. Lawrence, flows through the center of the province and contributes as a votive offering to the ocean. Half the fresh water on the surface of the globe. Wow. Globe, right? In quotes, okay? The above brief description will, it is presumed, be sufficient to convey to the unraveled spectator an adequate idea of the great inland seas of America, which form the source of mighty river whose shores this moving mirror illustrates. Very interesting type of dialect here. We beg leave to call the attention to those who are about to accompany us through these romantic regions to some historical and statistical particulars connected with the various spots depicted, which will add much to the interest of the pictorial journey. Very interesting. So this is where it gets gravy laden a little bit more. We're going to read a little bit more. Hope you don't mind. I'll have some, we're going to read on through to this Niagara River and the Chippewa, so bear with me. I should have some tunes playing here. All right, City of Buffalo. The City of Buffalo is beautifully situated at the eastern end of Lake Erie and near the entrance of the Niagara River. The harbor is formed by a creek which crosses the southern portion of the city and is separated from the lake by a peninsula. A breakwater, 1,500 feet in length, projects into the lake. Excuse me, the P is invisible there. A breakwater 1,500 feet in length projects into the lake, at the extremity of which is situated a substantial lighthouse. 60 years ago, the Seneca Nation owned this entire western portion of the New York State, and the right of preemption belonged to the state of Massachusetts. Oliver Phelps purchased his right in 1787, and in June 1788 he met the Senecas at Buffalo and concluded a treaty by which they conveyed to him the territory lying between Preemption Line and the Genesee River, and a strip of land, the west bank of the river, 12 miles wide and 20 miles in depth from its mouth. So what this is explaining right here is the Phelps-Gorham purchase by the Holland Land Company. I wonder why they're not mentioned here, but a very important part of the Western Door, if you will. Western New York was purchased by this specific transaction right here it was eventually acquired by the Holland Land Company. Okay. And sorry for the dialect of this and my delivery here is a little bit, the cadence is a little bit off, and I apologize. Okay. 12 miles wide. This acquisition, known as the Phelps-Gorham purchase, At this time, we have no record of any white man inhabiting this region. Okay, I'm not sure if I believe that. La Rochefoucauld Liancourt, a French nobleman, of course, visited this place, then known as Lake Erie, in 1795, and speaks of an inn where he was obliged to sleep on the floor in his clothes, and in which there was neither furniture, refreshment, rum, candles, or milk. Oh, my word. Some hoity-toity aristocrat doesn't have the comforts of Babylon, huh? Go figure. The village rapidly rose into consequence a short time after this. 1804 is when Buffalo was coined Buffalo. Okay, Joseph Ellicott. Radial street patterns. We get into that more with what I do here. Bang, bang. All right. The village rapidly rose into consequence a short time after this, and when it was suddenly doomed to destruction. Okay, yep. War of 1812. On 30th December 1813, the British, to avenge the burning of Kingston, crossed the river at Black Rock and took and burned it. In spite of the gallant resistance offered by the inhabitants, they call them inhabitants, interesting. So complete was the destruction that only 2 dwellings were left unconsumed. The building of the place was not commenced until 1815. The rebuilding of the place was not commenced until 1815. And I have some burning of Buffalo pics. Side tangent here. Burn residence and chimney. Very interesting here. I got more work to do on this. This picture is very telling. More on the burning of Buffalo. Note the hill here. And are those spires or oil derricks in that conflagration? View from the junction of Main and Lafayette Streets of the houses of St. John family, not burned, December 30th. Okay. View on Main Street from below, the junction of Main and Seneca. The remains of Buffalo after the conflagration. The St. John's family returning to the house unburned by the British troops. So this is the St. John family dashing through the snow through an old radial, huh? And what is going on here? What is going on here? I mean, are these steeples chimneys or were they what? I mean, Towers of Bologna? I'm saying that jokingly, but alternative history. Events happened. What was the motive and the narratives behind them, and before and after these events? That's the question. Here goes another one. Conflagration of Buffalo and Black Rock. View of the city of Buffalo, citizens of Buffalo entering upon the lake shore while city's burning. All right, so that's burning the city. All right. The rebuilding didn't commence until 1815. That's why you won't find a cornerstone in the city of Buffalo prior to 1815, I believe, because of the burning of Buffalo. Population in 1811 was estimated at 500. In February 1848, it was carefully enumerated and found to be over 40,000. So that in 1850, it will probably contain 50,000 souls. The act incorporating the city of Buffalo was passed April 20th, 1832, but it may date its great and increasing prosperity from the completion of the Erie Canal in 1825. Boom. Another important portion of what I do with my work is showcasing what's going on with the Erie Canal. Was it here pre-founding of Buffalo? Was it buried? Was it an old series of cataracts? Not cataracts, but like portages. Okay, was it here in the Viking Age? Was it here in 1K BC? Were Basques here then? Did the Phoenicians actually make the Erie Canal? Since we know that they come from, effectively, the well, I guess the race or the culture comes back from the Phoenicians back to Sumerians, ancient Sumer. History likes to tell us that, and the Sumerians were the first to cultivate land and make canals. So what's going on here really, guys? This is the kind of stuff that I'm questioning. And I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong, and this is just hypothesizing. All right, through brief space. All right, though a brief space has elapsed since the first settlement took place, it's yada yada. You guys can read all this. What I want to know more is, here we go again. Back here we have 33 miles, and we're going to go into, that says Niagara River is 33 miles in length. Keep that in mind. The numerology in this area is unbelievable. Okay, so Fort Erie is interesting. Let's continue on with Niagara River and read. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about this, guys. All right, Niagara River, 33 miles long, is at Fort Erie about a mile wide. Fort Erie is right now across the way. The old Vauban style Star Fort, y'all, which is still here. And it is delineated on old maps of 1820 as such. And I've showed this before. So Fort Erie, we got a fort marked here with the X. And we also have an X here that I showed. This is what I think the old Star Fort is, guys. Like I said, X marks the spot here. X marks the old defunct, or I think mined entirely, by what you see here. I think they're hiding it with infrastructure or hiding it with the guys of industry, saying that these are probably shipping lanes for... it looks like there's a building behind here, guys. I have this in one of my books. Harbor View. This looks like... I got more work to do on it, but again, this is going to be a general overview. Of course, it's just like all clouded by stuff. And what's going on back here? Back here in this dark area where they have a huge ship covering it up, sort of, it just looks like something's going on. And I suspect that there was an old, half-buried, partially overgrown, massive Star Fort right in the center of Buffalo. That's my hypothesis, and I'm sticking to it. Here goes more information about it that I gotta... This is effectively inside the Erie Basin Marina. What's underneath? What I suspect to be inside the old Star Fort. And I got more work to do, guys. Because what's right there right now is an Irish famine memorial. I showed you the henge before. Been there. Been there during the day with the beautiful sunlight, and I've been there at night. Under the buck moon. And a lot more stuff going on. So, yep. Let's not completely go off tangent here, y'all. But you get what I'm doing. Alright, yeah. This is a Vauban style Star Fort, meaning landlocked. No water interlaced or interconnected, right? But across the way here, like in that picture I just showed you, there's another X that's right over this Erie Basin Marina, and I think that that's the old Star Fort. But let's get back to the regularly scheduled gravy. Fort Erie, about a mile wide, as I just showed you, passes through a country that's most fertile and at the same time of the wildest and most romantic character. And in its short and rapid course presents the sublime spectacle of all the superabundant waters of the Great Lakes rushing along its narrow channel in one immense body in its way to join the ocean. The first vessel that ever navigated the inland seas of America was built by La Salle, a Frenchman, in 1678. Now that's going to be the Griffin. And the story behind the Griffin I have in another book of mine. Well, I was borrowed by John. Shout out to John Horan of looking at the book Niagara Falls Echoes in the Mist. I did do a reading of that I got to repackage and send back out because I got a copyright strike on it. But in that book, actually, that I have laying right next to me, it actually details what that boat is named. And it's the Griffin, okay? And allegedly this thing sailed up the river. I don't believe that, and they towed it. Let's read. At the mouth of the small creek supposed to be the Cayuga, 6 miles above the falls. So at the falls, they made a sailboat that made it up the river. And we just detailed how fast the river's current is. After many unsuccessful attempts, yeah, I'll bet, the vessel, which was of 60 tons burden, ascended the current into Lake Erie by a combined aid of tow lines and sails. Okay, you can't sail. Maybe tow lines works, but sails up the river? No. No. That's not happening. That's definitely not happening. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, okay. This thing made it into the Lake Erie by tow lines, right? And a sail. Give me a break. Anyway, I digress. Lake Erie by combined aid of sails and tow on August 7th. They sailed through a lake to which LaSalle gave the name of St. Clair, and after encountering a violent storm in Lake Huron, they passed into Lake Michigan and landed at the mouth of Green Bay. He sent back the vessel laden with rich furs valued at 60,000 livres in charge of the pilot and 5 men, but they never reached the Niagara. So they went out, landed at Green Bay per this story, and they never came back with the fur pelts. Oh, did I say fur pelts? Yep, I said fur pelts, and that's what I think the Vikings were doing here also, getting around the falls with the lake, with Erie Canal, possibly getting these lucrative fur pelts that were lucrative in this time of 1679. They were also lucrative in the Viking Age, which is what, 700 AD to 1100 AD. I'm pretty sure the Vikings were here getting these same fur pelts and taking them back and trading them with the Byzantine East in the Eastern European Roman Empire. But I digress again. So very interesting numerology if you pay attention to Niagara River. Now, that said, modern article here, the only reason I'm going to cite this is for the fact that it's now saying that the Niagara River is 36 miles long, and instead of dropping 333 feet, it's dropping 326 feet. Now, does that indicate a drop in level in some kind of instance that happened? I might suspect so. So that's kind of what I'm getting at here. And I'll leave this one in the description for your convenience also. I think does this tell of the inlet? No. Oh, it does, and it did. And I wanted to showcase that. Oh, no. Let's reopen that and go to my bookmark. Sorry about this, guys. This is going to have to be real quick. Bookmark manager. Hipfire. Niagara River. Pretty sure this was it. Yes, got it. Okay, perfect. All right, let's read here because there's an important part here. Then it's going to lead us into this. This is the depth chart of Niagara River. And again, I'm sorry about that little mix-up right there. I'm glad I got that open right quick. All right, so yeah, 333 feet to 326. That's 26. 7 feet difference. In a river that has a constant flow that's that fast, that's significant. Now that could mean the difference between 7 feet of difference and 18 foot of water, which is what's right here. This Peace Bridge, okay, where this is water depth here. Keep in mind 14, 18, 15, and then right at the Peace Bridge, it's all 13 feet, and then it gets a little bit deeper, okay? Thompson's Hole, that's why I got this thing. As a matter of fact, my parents' neighbor may or may not have the the same last name of this hole, and he would always point it out when we were going into the lake for fishing. Anyway, all right, so let's see here. Located between the Peace Bridge and International Bridges is Squaw Island. This is the anomalous part of the river now. Again, with the intake and the tunnels. Extending upstream from this is Bird Island Pier, which proceeds south under the Peace Bridge out into Lake Erie. And that's this pier right here. Okay. Here goes Squaw Island, which is now Unity Island for certain reasons. But the Bird Island Pier is this bad boy right here. And I've been out there many times. And it's also in conjunction with the Erie Canal. Okay, guys. Canal. Erie Canal. And the channel east of Squaw is known as the Black Rock Canal. Got my walleye out of there. Biggest fish I ever caught. 30 inches, 10 pounds. Yes, sir. At the north end of this channel, just downstream from the International Bridge, is the Black Rock Lock. The Black Rock Lock Canal, the Black Rock Canal and Lock allow for passage of commercial vessels around the shallow and fast-moving waters at the head of the river. The depth of this canal is 21 feet in the first 4 miles of its course. The river falls about 5 feet. The level of the canal is maintained near the level of the lake, and the lock rises and lowers ships over the 5 feet difference. The next 18 miles of the river flow is more slowly. It falls about 4 feet, widens to 2,400 feet. Within this 18-mile reach, about 3 miles downstream of Black Rock, the river divides into 2 channels around Grand Island. We heard about that already, yada yada. Okay. Here we go. Let's skip all this stuff and get down to the meat and potatoes, which is right here. One of the earliest projects to be attempted on the Niagara River was the construction of a pier from Bird Island to Squaw, which is what we just went over. Began in 1823. Now, they were doing this stuff with that current in 1823. Keep this in mind. As part of this project, a dam and a timber ship lock were constructed at the lower end of Squaw Island. When we say lower end of Squaw Island, that's meaning this part of Squaw right here that we see in that map. Again, keep in mind this is a very anomalous part of the stretch of the river because we still have that crib intake, and they're saying they built this by making a timber dock. And it's unbelievable. The current is like 14 miles an hour here. It's 13 feet deep, and current's 15 miles per hour, probably at least. It just fascinates me they were able to do this. Okay, and that's one of the things I am following up on. All right, let's keep going because there's more gravy. A timber ship lock were constructed at the lower end of Squaw and the island of the U.S. mainland. In 1851, the timber lock was replaced by a stone lock. Okay, the pier was extended upstream 900 feet, so they extended it. And in 1891 and about 3,000 feet in 1901. Wow. Improvements in the Black Rock Lock and Canal, Bird Island, also occurred in 1930, 31, 45. There you go. Army Corps of Engineers is right in that area as well. The first major, here goes the real gravy. This one right here. The first major change affecting the total flow of Niagara was the construction in 1873 of the International Railway Bridge. The piers of this bridge restricted the cross-section area, reduced the flow for the same Erie stage. The next change in the channel cross-section was due to the construction of the water intake structure of the city of Buffalo in the 1880s, and we went over that one. So they did those tunnels. Where's the cursory information about how they drilled those tunnels? I still have yet to find them in my 2 years searching this stuff. But again, I haven't went to the city records to find that, and I'll shout out Wood and Nichols for always harping on me to do that. But I get some pretty thick gravy here. So yeah, this is anomaly. The water intake structure, 1880s. Talking about that crib, y'all. Now, let's go a little bit further here. Back up to the first paragraph, and keep in mind where it says, when it enters from Lake Erie into the river, it immediately narrows to a width of 1,500 feet and a depth of 17 feet, and it reaches a rock ledge, which naturally controls its outflow. Now, I'm like, what rock ledge is that? Now, I went to find this water depth chart, and this is NOAA.gov. Okay, I'll leave the link in the description of this. This is that rock ledge it's talking about. Let's go over it. Just find it interesting, because if the river was narrower because they were heading it off and water was going inland more. Okay, it says 18 feet, 14 feet, 15 feet. And then it hits a 12, 13, 14 foot ledge, and then it gets a little deeper. So the actual ledge that this is referring to right here, I believe, is that right under the Peace Bridge, it's about, from the canal to Fort Erie, it's about 13 feet. Whereas on the other side of it, it's 18 to 16 here. So this is the ledge right here. So if you're going to build a span, you're going to build it where it's the most shallow, and it's almost like a sandbar. But I guess that's bedrock, and that's the bedrock probably that has the tunnel in it. Or does this speak to something else going on, guys? It's extremely hard for me to think that they were able to divert this river or even build that crib just because of the actual flow, the out rate. It's over 200,000 cubic flow rate, and we're going to learn that right about now. Thompson's Hole, check that out. Very cool. Drainage, we did that, got all the information. Let's close this. And the International Bridge, we'll come back to that. All right, I'll leave a link for all these. These are the ones I'm working. Now, yeah, look at what's going on here, guys. There goes Buffalo Harbor again. This is 1880. Again, why do we have the star shape? Here goes Buffalo Harbor. I mean, why is it shaped like a star? And there's buildings here, but I think that they did that to actually cover it up, then dismantle it. Okay, and I think they might have used that as an aggregate for Buffalo cement. I got more work to do on that. Now, let's close it up with all the way up to the Niagara Falls, because I'm going to be going here next with a couple homies and seeing what's going on. I got Malachi Crunch, West Side Samurai, Danny. We got to hit up the Erie Basin Marina, dude. Got to try to get in those tunnels that I showed that I think are underneath here. How are we going to do it? Let's figure it out. Also, stomping ground, Niagara Falls. Let's pay attention to what's going on with the power, the Ontario Power Authority building. Because definitely check out my short last video, because it's dealing with the Shulkop area that I've done before. This whole area right here, and its collapse, the old Shulkop Dam. But again, like I said in the beginning, like with any good anomaly, there's layers, and it could be the anomaly itself that's showcased could be the red herring in of itself, because right across the way is this building. Now, what's this, you say? This is the Ontario Power Company. Now, I can't get there because what's going on right now with the border and yada yada. Hopefully that will lift soon. But I got some boots on the ground cats over there. Shout out to Toronto Jew Bear. Maybe I can get you out there, buddy, or at least take a trip to Niagara Falls and get some close pictures of this thing if there's any tours or whatever. But this is an anomalous building, okay? 1890, subsidiary contracted company. It doesn't even detail construction. Well, it doesn't have construction details at all. It just says background. And in with what the gentleman said in the point of peripety, like in my last short video, was this buried? So this is going to be kind of a cliffhanger, and it's fitting because it's resting, under a cliff pretty much. But I've been meaning to put out a Niagara Falls 2.0 for a very long period of time, and I just got sidetracked with so much more gravy. But I'm putting it all together, y'all, and I hope you appreciate, and I appreciate your patience. Well, just look at this thing, though. I mean, it just... it looks ancient, and I think that it may have been buried. Now, let's layer it some more, because when you have pictures like old school ones that I find on the internet, trying to find any kind of evidence, or maybe they left out some things like this. Like, why is this all whitewashed right here? Was it partially sticking out? Who knows? But I digress, and that's a lot more work for me to do. So, yeah, that's Bushwhacking History, a prelude to my upcoming Niagara Falls 2.0, which is going to be a huge one. But it's all good, because those are the deep dives that I like doing. I like doing any deep dive, to be honest with you. But when I bite off stuff like dragons or like Greek fire, that gets a little bit stressful. But when I'm in my backyard, bushwhacking, my stomping grounds, I don't, heck, this is what I love doing. So, yeah, that was an episode for you. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll report back. God bless. And as always, keep it sleuthing.